Hello, welcome to Coding Keywords Live Training. My name is Dr. Adejo, and this is the Introduction to Excel Module 8 course. And welcome. Subscribe to the channel. We have lots of videos for you, and also share this session as well. Like the video. So I'm going straight to share my screen. So we start the activity. And so we're going to be working in Excel, and we're going to be learning something very interesting. So I just confirm that do well to send me a message if there's any information you want to pass across or if there are any issues. Okay, so we are in module 8, and this is 10 module introduction to Excel course that covers the basics of Excel, suitable to prepare you for other more specialized applications of Excel, like for data analysis, automation, and all of that. We cover the basics. All right, so first we started with the Excel interface, data organization, like using tables that centers around data. Here at Coding Keywords, we simplify the learning of tech by emphasizing the keywords or the most important things. So Excel is about data. And so we first started by looking at data entry, how to get our data into Excel. And once we get our data into Excel, we have to start looking at the type of the data. We look at formatting, and then we move over to calculation. That's where we start working with mostly numeric data. And so we looked at calculation, we looked at references, and we looked at how to our data, prepare it for analysis, and then we looked also at logical and conditional functions. And that's where we have to make certain decisions on our data based on questions that we ask. So we're progressing, and today we're going to understand how Excel stores dates and times. So we're going to be looking at dates and text. So this is our objective today, to know how Excel stores dates and times, to perform calculations using dates, to extract, clean, and combine text, convert messy text data into usable form, avoid common date and text errors, and then okay. So I had a little issue. Apologies about that. I believe I'm back now. So I'm just going to go straight to share my screen. Okay, so just a quick recap. Um, yeah, this is what we looked at before: Excel interface, data entry, data formatting, basic calculation, cell references, data organization, logical, conditional functions. And so today we're going to understand Excel, how Excel stores dates and times. We're going to perform calculations using dates. We're going to work with text, extract, clean, and combine text. We'll convert messy text data into usable form. We'll avoid common dates and text errors. And then key thing to note is that dates and numbers, text must be cleaned before analysis. So we've looked at numbers. Today we're looking at dates and text. And these three data types are very important in Excel. So I just check the stream to be sure everything is okay. Okay, so everything is fine. All right, so now we're going to look at dates. So now, date is an important data type in Excel. It's useful everywhere in budgeting, project planning, date analysis. And you will agree with me that a lot of records that we keep have columns or categories for dates. Dates are very important because they help us to keep track of time. And many things we do are defined by the dates: the date we start, the date we end, the dates different things happen, the date an event happens, and all of that. So dates are very important. Um, and it's important to master how to use them in Excel. So now we need to understand how Excel interprets and displays dates. So we're going to be using a digital tool like Excel to handle our dates. We need to know how it works with dates. So first thing is that Excel stores dates as numbers. Okay, so that's the first thing to note. So dates are not text per se. They are not alphabets. They are numbers. So Excel stores dates as numbers and they're serial numbers. So it uses a logic involving numbers to handle dates. So the logic around how Excel works with dates is that it considers dates as numbers. And this kind of makes sense. This makes sense because dates are composed of numbers. So for example, today's date is the 10th of February 2026. So 10 is a number. February, we can represent it as 2 because it's the second month. And then we have 2026. So dates are composed of numbers and Excel understands dates as numbers. So this is the way Excel deals with dates. So January 1st, 1900 is a reference date, and Excel counts the days from January 1st, 1900 to form a serial number for a date. So every date in Excel has a serial number, and that number is the number of days from January 1st, 1900. So that's how Excel understands dates. Okay, so next up is time is stored as a fraction, as fractions of a day. So whereas we count the days from January 1st, 1900 to get the serial number for every date, time is stored as fractions of a day. It kind of makes sense. All right, so now your date must match the expected date format in Excel. Very important. So when you're using dates in Excel, you have an expected format that you should comply with. Okay, and this is based on your computer's regional settings. Okay, so whether you're using the US system or the UK system or the IOC system, you need to understand your computer's regional settings because that is what Excel is going to work with. So different parts of the world use different date formats. And then we've got the United States of America, and then we see the format there. So we've got the month, MM, and then the day, DD, and then the year, Y. All right. So today using the USA format would be first of all the month, that's 02 February, and then the day, today is 10, and then the year 2026. So this is the US format here. And then, but then the UK format and like Nigeria format is it's different. So we've got the day, the month, and the year. So in the UK format, we'd have the day, today that's 10, and then the month, that's 02, and then the year. So we can see that. So this is the USA format, and then this is the UK format, also the Nigerian format as well. Okay, so and then we've got the ISO format. And the ISO format, we've got the year first, and then the month, and then the day. And then we see that whereas the USA and the UK formats have the slash to demarcate the different parameters, the ISO format uses the hyphen or the dash. Very important. Okay, so now Excel uses your operating system's regional settings to know which format to expect. Typing a date in a different format from your computer's regional settings may cause Excel to treat it as a text, not a date, or to interpret it incorrectly. So this is what happens when you do not work with your computer's regional settings. And this is why many people experience issues with dates in Excel. Dates not behaving as they should or not being represented as they should. This is one of the reasons. Very important. All right, so how do you check your computer's regional formats? For Windows, you can go to Control Panel and then go to Region and go to Format tab, and then you can check the short date formats. And this shows the format Excel expects when you type dates. Okay, so this is for you to check whether you're using the UK format or the USA format. So this is one way to check using Windows. And then using your Mac, you go to System Preferences, Language and Region, Advanced and Dates. And here you can check your preferred date formats on your computer. Okay, so slashes are the most widely accepted separators for entering dates. and they work well with the original formats. Okay, these are the slashes like we saw, and then we also see the hyphens, which is used mainly in the ISO formats, which Excel also recognizes and is useful for sorting dates properly. So we see different formats for dates. Now, this is what you should take note of. Avoid mixing these or typing dates in formats not matching your original settings to prevent Excel from treating your entry as plain text. Okay, so now you confuse Excel when you use the wrong formats or when you mix up formats. All right, so when you get data sets from other sources, say other data sets and given to you, or you download them, you have to understand the formats in which those data sets were prepared. This is very important, so that dates don't become tricky or become trouble for you as you work with them. All right, so also important to understand that formatting changes the appearance, not the value. You can change the appearance, but the value still remains the same. Very important. All right, so let's just enter a date. So we're just going to enter, let's just say 21st of April 19, so 2025. All right, so 21st of April 2025, I am using the UK format. So I've written the day first, and then the month, and then the year. All right, now see what happens. I've written this, and see what I have here. What I have is the serial number for that date. This is the serial number for that date. Now, why is it showing me the serial number? It's showing me the serial number because this cell is not formatted or set to date. All right, so let me come over to home, and then I come over to this. You see, it's now a number. All right, so I've used this cell, used this column before to do some work, and it was set as a number. And when I enter the date, it immediately gave me the serial number. So I have to come over here and then change this to date. So can you see that short date? And there you go, I've gotten the date. Now, why did these previous entries I made, why are they shown as dates, not numbers? That's because I put this apostrophe before I wrote them. And so it's actually giving me as a text here. All right, so I've entered the dates and change the format to number. Okay, so this is the dates. So changing it to number. So let me take it back to number. And there you can see the serial number there. That's the serial number. So this is the serial number 45768. And now, if Excel recognizes a date, you can calculate with it. Okay, so because it's a number, you can actually do calculations. You can add days to dates, you can subtract days from dates, and all of that. Okay, so that gives us a hint that we can do calculations with dates. So now we've got our first data set. So I'm just going to insert columns so that I can get the first data sets. So remember that these data sets are available for download. The link is in the chat. You can download them and practice. And you need to practice them and master it. Okay, so just going to increase the width of these cells so that I can maintain it. So this is what I have, and just going to get information. Now this data set is employee records. Employee records. So we've got the employee column, we've got the start date, and we've got end date. So the date they started work and then the date they ended work. So confirm start date is recognized as a date. Okay, so this is start date. So I'm just going to select this column and then I'm going to go, okay, it's general. It's general. So I'm going to set it as a date. And then change format to number and back to date. Okay, so I'm going to change the format to number. You see the numbers there. Now, even though the format has changed, the value of the date is still the same. The value of the date is still the same. Okay, so that when I change it back to dates, I change it back to date, I still have the numbers there. And then So explain what changed. All right. So what happened is that when they changed it to number, I was able to get the serial number representation of that date, which corresponds to how many days that each of these dates have been from January 1st, 1900. All right. So we've gone through the basics of dates. Gone through the basics of dates. So we're going to move over to the next lesson, which is lesson 3. And this is when we start working with common date functions. So I'm just going to have quick check in the stream to be sure everything is fine. Yes. So we just continue. Great. All right. So we've got different functions. So we got the today function, we've got now, we've got dates, we've got year, we've got month, we've got day. So these are the functions. All right. So let's just take today. So remember, we have to type equal to, and then we just type today. And then there you go. So you see, today is the 10th of February, 2026. All right, let's see what now will give us. So we see now it's giving us the date and the time. All right, so these are functions we can use in Excel. So extracting a year from a date and then creating dates from components. Okay, so extracting a year from a date. All right, so if we've got these dates, so we've got this date, this is today's date. Now let's see how to extract the year. So we use equal to, and then we type year. So let me type it in all caps. And then let me click on this. So this needs a serial number. So the year function needs a serial number argument. Okay, so let me click on this date to see if it's going to help us extract. Okay, it did not extract. So you see, it didn't extract because I have it here, not as a serial number. So let me change this. Come over here, change it to number. And let's see. Okay, so let me write this here. 46063. That's a serial number. And now let me use the year function, pick that serial number. And okay, I'm having an issue. All right, so let me go over to a new cell, 46063. All right, and then I'm going to format it as a number. Okay, so I'm formatting it as a number, and here I use the year function and pick the serial number, and there you go. So you see, a bit of troubleshooting. All right, so you now understand how dates in Excel can be tricky based on the formats and how we use it. So I used this here, but it didn't work because this is formatted as general. Okay, probably. So it gave me this when I needed just the year. I had to type this number, format it as a number, and I apply the year function, and then I've been able to get the year. All right, so let's move over to our next lesson. So our next lesson now is to calculate the age. Some of the calculations we can do is subtract, date subtraction. We can also calculate the age. We can calculate the duration between two dates. And then we can get negative results. And then we also need to handle missing dates. And then we're going to do all of that in the exercise on our data set 8A. All right, so this is the task. We are to add a column called days employed. So I'm going to come over here and add a column called days employed. So we're going to do all of that calculation, subtraction, and working with missing dates to handle it. Okay, so now I'm not going to convert this to a table so that we can just do the calculations directly. All right, so I just do a bit of styling here. So let me just do a bit of styling. Okay, change it to, let's see. Okay, I don't like the white text there, so I'll just make it, let's make it a bit dark so it's more visible. Okay, I don't know if this helps. All right, so we got this. And then we're to add a column called days employed. So we've got the employee name. This is the start date. This is the end date. So we want to calculate the number of days employed. And then, so now we're to calculate the days between start date and today. All right. If end date is blank. Okay. So we've got a bit of things we want to do now. So we've got Alex Morgan started working 15th of March 2019, and there's no end date. Okay, so there's no end date for Alex Morgan. What that means is that we can calculate how many days Alex Morgan has worked by finding the subtraction of this from today, or from when he started working to today. All right, so and then for Carlos Rios, which is the third entry there, has a start date and end date. So we're just supposed to subtract, okay, to find the number of days. All right, so now let me format this as a date. This is general now, so I just format it as a date, short date. Okay, and then because we have two possible conditions, it's either there is an end date or there is no end date. Because we have, those two conditions, we're going to have two, we're going to have a decision to make, and we're going to have two options for the result based on the result of the decision. Okay, so we'll use an if function later, but let's just do it manually. So in the first case, it's going to be equal to today, right, minus the start date. So let's see. All right, so we need to come over here and then format this not to be general now, but to be a number. So you can see that there. You can see that there. And then I'm going to apply this same formula to the next one. You can see that there. And then I'll need to apply it here as well. So I'm just going to drag this down and then delete this one. All right, so here we see between 2019 and today, we have 2,524 days. Between this date in 2020 and today, we've got 2,049. Yes, we expect it to be lesser. And then between 2021 and today is 1,613 days. Okay, so that's the days employed. We can see how long each of these employees have stayed by calculating the days employed by just subtracting their start date from today. Now, when it comes to Carlos Rios, who has an end date, means the day he stopped working, I'm going to do equal to the end date minus the start date. Let's see. And there you go. And then coming over here, I can do the end date minus the start date. Okay. So this how to calculate the days employed by just subtracting. All we did is just a simple subtraction operation. And that's because dates are numbers. Just a quick check in the stream to be sure everything is fine. Okay. So my sound is okay and we're still on the stream. All right. So now let me do a simple check. It's always good to do, simple checks just to troubleshoot and be sure to confirm that what we're doing is fine. All right. So today is the 10th of February, 2026. So let me just add an extra day here and let me just use the 8th of February, 2026. And then let me come over and do today minus this date. So I'm expecting 2 days. There you go. So you see, I've got 2 days. I subtracted 8th of February from today, which is 10th of February. I've got 2 days. So that's just one way of checking that what we have here is correct. So we have used the today function. Now we used two different calculations for our data set because those without the end date we use today, and those with an end date we just subtracted. So now we're going to use an if function to handle that. We use an if function to handle that. Remember we did if the last time, so I'm just going to come over here and type equal to if. So what are we checking? What's the condition we're checking? We want to check if the end date is blank or not. So I'm going to click on the end date. I'm going to say if the end date is blank, means it's equal to just an empty string. What am I going to do? I'm going to do today minus the start date. Okay, so if it's not blank, what am I going to do? I'm going to do the end date minus the start date. All right, so I am working on cell O1. Okay, so I'm writing my, sorry, P1, P2, sorry, I'm writing my formula in cell P2. My start date is in M2 and my end date is in N2. So that explains the references here. So I'm first checking the end date. If N2 is blank, then I do today minus M2, which is the start date. Else I do N2, which is the end date, minus M2, which is the start date. And then I can close it. And there you go. So now I have an if function that um, checks the condition as to whether there is an empty value in the end date, and then based on the result of that check, it's going to calculate the number of days, either by using the today function or by subtracting the start date from the end date. And if you check, you'd see that we have the same results in both cases. Okay, so I want you to go over it again so that you can understand what we did. So we calculate the days between start date and end date. Yes, so we've done that already. And then also we can also extract the start year, we can extract the start month, and then we can also count how many employees started in each year. All right, so that's going to be like a combination of some of the things we have done. So let me just clear off all this. Just going to clear off all this. And then I'm just going to keep this here. Okay, so we are to extract the start month, start year, start month. All right, so remember that we used the year function to extract the year. All right, so we want to use the year function to extract the year. And remember that what we saw was once you have these dates here formatted as dates, you can't get the year. You need to have the dates formatted as numbers, as the serial number. All right, so if we work on this directly, it won't give us what we want. We saw that. So it means that we need to be able to have our dates in serial number. All right, so I'm just going to copy these start dates. So I'm just going to copy it, and then I'll paste this here. And then I'm just going to write start dates, serial number. So that's the start dates in serial number there. And then I'm going to come over here and change it from date to number. So that's it in serial number. And here, I'm going to extract the year. So we're supposed to extract the year, start year. Okay, so I'm just going to write start year. Okay, and all I need to do is just equal to, so remember I can write in the formula bar here, and then I'm going to write year, open the bracket, and you see description there is telling me I should put serial number as argument, and I take the serial number which is in Q2, and there you go. So you see this is 2019, and that's correct. So I just drag it down, and you see I've done that. So I've extracted the start year. So say you have your dates. So you have your dates in this format here, which has day, month, year, and you just want the year. Now you're not just going to go and start typing it one by one, especially if you have very large text, very large data, because you could make mistakes. So what you just do is use the function. The year function gives you what you want, but you should have the dates in the serial number format. Okay, so let me just put borders here, and then format the style here, and then just put borders. So we're able to see it. Okay, so we're also able to extract the start month, and in the same way. Okay, so let me just copy this, paste this here, and to do the start month, we're going to use the month function. It expects the serial number as well, and there you go. So you see 3 there says that March, and so on and so forth. got July, we've got January, we've got September, we've got May. So you can cross check to see that this is okay. Now we have to count how many employees started in each year. To count how many employees started in each year. All right, so we're going to do a count. So you say um, count employees per year. All right, so to do that, let's just pick the years. Okay, so we've got 2019, we've got 2020, we've got 2018, um, we've got 2021, and we've got 2017. All right, so now it's the formatting. Now we can see how dates can be tricky. Now, because I did some operations on these cells, this one is just a number with no decimal. This is a number with two decimals. This is a long date, having the date and time. This is a number. So we got all kinds of formats in our cells because we worked on those cells before. Remember, I deleted what we did. So all we have to do is format them to be the same. Right. So I'm just going to pick all of them and I'm going to format it as a number. I need to work with it as a number now. Okay. And I actually don't need any decimal because the year as a variable doesn't have decimals. So now it's fine. So this is just to let you know that sometimes when it doesn't look the way you want it to look, you just might need to format, just work on the formats. All right, so here we go. So we're supposed to check. Now, of course, each of them is just going to occur once. All right, but I want to see how many employees started in each year. All right, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do equal to, and I'm going to do count if. Okay, so I'm doing the count if. We've done that before. So the count if is going to check the range. So I'm going to come over to this start here and pick the range. And then what's the criteria? What's the criteria? Okay, so let me put the criteria as this. So I'm going to check here for 2019. So let me see if this works. Okay, now because this is a date, is giving me a wrong value. So I'm going to have to format this as number, not date. So you can see how it is now. The format is so important. And there you go. I've done it and you can see that it's 1. So what does that tell me? It tells me that in this range, so let me click on it again. You see the range highlighted. In this range, it has checked for L11, that is 2019, and it has seen only 1. So that's what the count if does. Remember, we did logical and conditional functions in our last class, which is module 7. So you can check the previous video and you see. And there you go. I've dragged it and applied it and you see it's just 1 for each year. All right, so let me come over here and make this one, instead of 2018, let me make it 2019. Okay, so let's see what happens here. Okay, so this is not where I should. Now, you see how this is tricky? You see how this is tricky? Because this start date shows me the dates in days, but this start here was picked from here. Okay, so you see it was picked from here. All right, and you see the start date here doesn't have a formula. Okay, so let me all right, so now this is what's going to happen. I'm going to pick this, come over here, number. Okay. Oh, it's still 2019. Okay. All right, so let me come over here. Now, this is a bit this here. This is 2019. Now, let me make it. Okay, yeah, that's 2019. Yes. So I've got two 2019s. All right. Oh, so that's fine. It's correct for me. So you see now, 2019, previously, you see Control Z, when it was not updated as a serial number, it was 1. And that's to tell us that there was only one 2019 in the start dates. Okay, so I'm just going to do Control Y. Control Y, I changed it. See, this was 2018. I changed it to 2019 so that I can have two 2019s. And then I also ensured that I converted the date to serial number. So now I have two 2019s and my count if has returned 2 for me. So now I have two 2019s, one 2020, no 2018, one 2021, and one 2017. All right, so just a recap. What happens is I want to count how many employees started in each year. And originally I had just one for each year. I had one for 2019, one for 2020. This was 2018 before, one for 2021, and one for 2017. And it gave me one all through. So I decided to make this 2019 so that I can have two, and just to be sure that my count if is counting well. So replacing 2018 with 2019 meant that there's no more 2018 and there are two 2019s. And what that meant was that I needed to ensure that my start year was giving me the correct start year. And remember that I did not connect the year function to the date here because this is date format, and the year function has to be connected to serial number. And so I needed to update the serial number as well. So what I'm just going to say is that what we have done so far has shown us quite a lot. Okay, it has shown us basically how to work with, okay, just to be sure if I've, okay. Okay, so I think everything is fine. All right, so I showed how to work with dates. Yes, so we've seen how to work with dates. We've also seen how to troubleshoot as well, how to keep track of our formats. We have to be in control when it comes to our formats. Very important. So we have to ensure that our formats are right. When we need a date format, it should be a date. When we need long dates, it should be long dates. When we need number format, it should be number format. Else, it's not going to give us our results. And then we saw a bit of editing and all of that. So if you go over it again, you would practice how to use Excel and how to keep track of what you are doing. This is a very good practice. Dates can be tricky if we don't understand the regional settings like we saw, or if we're not formatting it as we should format it, or if we're not using the functions as we should use the functions. So there are a lot of rules that we have to consider and be and keep track of when we are working with Excel. All right, so that's that about lesson 4. Yes, and so we move on to lesson 5. Okay, so we've looked at dates extensively in lesson 4. Now let's look at lesson 5, which is text. Remember, I said numbers, dates, and text are some of the most useful data types in Excel. Excel is a software for data handling, for manipulating data, working with data. And a lot of times our data has what? Numbers, text, dates. And so we need to master them for us to be able to use Excel effectively. And so that's what we've covered in the last couple of modules. Now let's look at text. Text cannot be calculated. Numbers can be calculated, dates can be calculated, but text cannot be calculated. So text is ABC, words and all of that. Numbers, of course, is 1, 2, 3. Some of you have fractions or decimals, and dates is numbers like we saw. All right, so we cannot calculate text. So some of the issues we have with text, things like inconsistent text, breaks analysis. Okay, so when we have our text, for example, text in this data set now is this employee column. So we've got text. If we do consistency, say in our capitalization, then it's going to affect our analysis. Okay, hidden spaces. These are some of the issues as well. Sometimes you've got spaces in the text, extra spaces maybe between words. This can affect, give and introduce issues. Extra spaces as well, like we saw. Inconsistent capitalization, yes, like I mentioned. These are some of the issues. And then combined fields, okay? So these can give us issues when we're dealing with text in Excel. Okay, so here are some of the text functions. So we've got the left function, we've got the right function, we've got mid, we've got len, we've got trim, we've got upper, lower, proper. So these are some of the functions we use on text. We've got concat, TEXTJOIN, and then, yeah, so we would see how to work with them in our data set 8B. Okay, so I'm just going to come over here and then insert sheet columns. Okay, So, and then I'm going over to exercise 8. So like I said, these data sets are available for download. The link is in the chat. Download them and practice so that you can master them. Okay, this is not what I want. I want a little bit more space. Now you may be wondering, quite a number of functions that we listed to work with text. Okay, a little bit more than what we did using when we're working with dates. So does it mean that you have to cram them? No, you don't necessarily need to cram them, and that's why we've got tools like Google and also like AI. So let's say you are stuck, forgotten how to use the learn or the trim or left or right or wherever, you can always consult AI tools. And if we have enough time, we'll do a bit of AI today. All right, so we've got our data set 8B, and our data set 8B is customer contact list, and it has a bit of dirty data that we need to clean. So these are customer contact lists, and here we're to remove the extra spaces from country code. Okay, so apparently there's some issues over here. Okay, so we've got our country code and we want to remove the extra spaces. So how do we remove the extra spaces? Okay, so to remove the extra spaces, we use the trim function. So I type trim and there you go. So you see, removes all spaces from a text string except for single spaces between words. Okay, so that's what the trim function does. So we just type trim and then we supply the text as an argument, and there you go. So if we had extra spaces in this column, it would be removed. All right, so now let me give this heading as trim n. So I'm trimming column n. So now let me do some trim on column L, and that's over here. So I'm going to introduce some extra spaces. So this first one here, so let me put these spaces, and then this one, let me just introduce this space. Now let's see what happens. And then over here, I'm just going to now see there's some space after the word. Okay, so when I double click, can you see the space there? All right, so now let's do the trim on this full name column, because I believe it's going to be more obvious there than the country code. All right, so I'm just going to pick this here, L2, and there you go. So can you see the difference? Here we've got Emma Watson. You can see it's just a single space, and then over here in the original data set, we had several spaces. So that just shows how to use the trim function on our text to remove the extra spaces. And let me see, there you go. You click on this, okay, so it is trimmed. All right, so now when you apply a formula on your data set, maybe in a column, you might need to go back, copy, and then go to a new column and then paste. Or remember, you're just going to have to just paste values. Okay, so you come over to paste and paste values. In that way, you have your data, you have a fresh data without any formula. Okay, and then you can probably delete the column that had the formula so that you have your data cleaned. So this is your data cleaned, and then you can even come here, copy it, and then replace. Okay, so all of this has to do with, so let me replace. You see, I've replaced the original data set. All right, so all of this has to do with whether you want to keep the original data. You know, sometimes you want to keep the original data that is dirty, and sometimes you also want to keep the formula because you probably still want to work with the formula. So all of that has to do with you doing your Excel operation based on the right logic at that particular point in time. So now standardize country code to uppercase. All right, so we're going to come over here and we're going to use the upper function. So this converts a string, text string, to all uppercase. Okay, so and then I'm going to pick the country code. So you see, this is lowercase, this is upper, this is lower, and all of that. So by applying that upper function, I'm able to convert all the country codes to upper. Okay, convert full name to proper case. So this is the full name. We're going to convert it to proper case using the proper function. So that's proper there, and then it needs the text argument, and I'm going over to L2, and there you go. So you see, this is Emma Watson, all small case, and then this is the proper case. The proper case is such that the first word is capitalized, and then I apply it down. So all of this is simple operations on text, and then extract first name from full name. Okay, so let's now extract the first name from the full name. So how do we extract the first name from the full name? Now let's see if we can use our field. Remember, we've done that before. So now there are several ways we can do that. Now let's see if we can use our field. Okay, so I'm just going to come over here and I'm just going to start typing. Okay, so this is Emma and then Liam, and there you go. So you see the suggestion there. I started typing. After typing the first two, you see giving options for the other ones to fill up, and just by pressing enter, it has filled it up for me. All right, so if we remember our field, that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is there are several ways. We can go to our data and we can use text to columns and do that as well. So we're going to probably see that in a later module. Extract last name. Okay, so let's see if we can still maintain using a text to column. I've typed Watson and Brown, and there you go. I press enter and it's done that for me. So I use the fill operation. Now extract email username. Okay, so let's see if that's going to work. The email username, we can see this is the email called Emma.Watson. We got Liam, and there you go. I just press enter and it's done it for me. All the same at company. Let me see if it's going to work. So I type company, I type company. Okay, that kind of didn't work. That kind of didn't work. Okay, probably because I'm quite far from this, so it didn't work. But there are ways we can do that. So we're going to see that. Let's see. Now use len to count characters in email address. Okay, so let's do the len first. And all right, so let's do the len. So now let me create a column just beside here. Okay, and then let's use the len, len. So len returns the number of characters in a string. It returns the number of characters in a string. So I'm just going to, and there you go. So this is 23 characters. And there you go. So this is how to count the number of characters. Okay, so counting the number of characters in the email address. All right, so really long or necessarily short. In that way, we're doing a bit of maths on text. Okay, so that's one thing I always like to pinpoint in Excel or in data analysis. We got text, we got numbers, and then in data analysis, you do a lot of logic, operations or calculations on both different types of data types. All right, so to extract the email domain using some other techniques. All right, so let me just copy this and then bring it down here, and then we explore all. Instead, I just insert. Remember, all of this is just for the purpose of practice, and so we're just doing it for the purpose of practice. All right, so let's explore something in Excel. Okay, so we've got this data set and we want to extract the email domain. We want to extract the email domain. So watch what we're going to do. So I'm just going to highlight this. This is a data set, and I'm going to go to data, and I'm going to go to text to columns. Okay, so this is text to columns. And here with text to columns, you can actually split a column into several other columns. So I'm going to take the text here, and then we're going to see how to. So one way to do it is using delimiters, and Another way is using fixed width. We're not going to use fixed width because the number of characters for emails are not the same. If it was like a code with the same number of characters, then we can use fixed width. So we're going to use the delimiter, and I'm going to go to next. I'm going to use the @ let me try using the @ so I'm going to use order, and I'm just going to type @ there. So what is happening is that Excel is going to look for @ and use that @ to separate the contents of the columns. Okay, so you can already see the preview here. With @ you can see the preview. You can see that it separates the username from um, the company name. All right, so I go next, and then I'm going to specify where my destination should be. So my destination should be here, and so let me go with finish, and there you go. So you see that has been separated. So this separated the username from the company name using text to columns in the data tab. Okay, so this is a little bit like intermediate Excel here. And then I can also come over here in case I don't want the .com parts. I don't want the .com part, I just want company. And let me just assume that the first one here is Yahoo. And let me say this one here is Amazon. Okay, so they're not all the same. And so I'm just going to select this data, still going to text to columns, and I'm still going to use a delimiter, and this time around I'm not using the @ so let me use just the full stop. So I type the full stop there, and I want it to start. So I'm going to destination, I'm going to select here, and I click on finish, and there you go. So you see, I did that in 2 stages. And here I have company, Yahoo, and all of that. So just to say that a lot of these commands in the data tab are very useful for data analysis operations. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our practice on text. And let's see what we have next. And here we're looking at combining dates and text, combining dates and text. And this is helpful for us to have readable reports. So we use the text to format dates inside text. So there's actually a text function that we can use on dates to format dates inside text. Okay, so we have this here. We have an example here. This is where we can actually create like sentences using by combining the text function on dates with other strings. Okay, so we can actually have a sentence like this. Create a sentence: employee name joined on formatted date. So we have the text, which is the name, and then the date as well, adding it together. And all right, so we use the text function for date formatting, and we're working on dataset 8C. And so let's see what we do. Okay, so I'm just going to create insert new columns. Okay, so we've got our columns so that I can paste 8C. Don't forget to like this video and to subscribe to the channel, and also to share as well. This is a comprehensive introduction to Excel that prepares you for data analysis and even for automation. Okay, it's a comprehensive introduction to Excel. 10 modules, we cover almost everything you need for the foundation in Excel. All right, this is module 8. We've got just 2 more modules, and you are good to go. All right, so this is product codes. So let me just copy everything. Product codes. And I just paste this here, and then we'll see. All right, so we have to extract the product number. We have to extract the product number. All right, so let's see. Probably an option to use would be the functions, and then also the category codes, and then recombine into a readable product description. Okay, so we're going to do that. And now this looks a bit tricky. Okay, so that's the last thing we're doing. All right, so this looks a bit tricky. And when things look tricky like that, let's take advantage of AI tools like ChatGPT. So I'm just going to copy the data sets. So I'm going to copy this and let's go over to ChatGPT. And now this is an important skill when it comes to programming or anything IT or tech. You need to know how to troubleshoot. You need to know how to do research to find solutions to problems. You need to be good at problem solving. You need to be good at research. You need to be patient. These are very important. All right. So now we've got a task. What's our task? We want to be able to separate the different parts of this product code. Okay, so we want to be able to pick out the product number, we want to also be able to pick out the category codes, and we also want to be able to recombine it into a readable product description. So these are product codes. All right, so we want to pick these parts of the codes. Now, I want to see how AI would advise us on how to go about it. All right, so now prompt engineering, which is one of the things we're going to cover very soon, is how we write prompts in such a way that we get the best out of AI. So I'm going to say, look at these data sets below and guide me on how to extract the product number and product codes. Now, what's going to happen is I'm asking ChatGPT to guide me, okay? And then I did shift enter to be able to come down the line, and then I've pasted the data sets there. Okay, so this is how it has represented it for me. Now, this is the thing. I know that there are different ways to go about it. We've already seen how to use text to columns, okay? But I'm just telling ChatGPT to advise me on what to do. So ChatGPT is likely going to give me several options, maybe the function option. Now, if it doesn't give me the function option, I'm going to ask it to give me functions, okay? So how can I use functions to go about it? So you say, got it. This is a clean structured code. So extraction is straightforward. Your values follow this pattern. So now I'm working with ChatGPT and it's almost like I've gone to a consultant or I've gone to somebody and I've asked a question and then I'm getting a feedback. So it's more like a human being chatting with me. All right. So now one important thing we can pick out of here, which I forgot to mention, is that we've got PRD, 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 PRD. So that's the same for all of them. So we're concerned about the product number and the product code. So the code is the last two digits. Okay, and there you go. It has interpreted it there. So there's a prefix that's the same. PRD is the same for all of them. And then we've got numbers and then we've got the code as well. All right, so now what we can extract, we've got the prefix, the product number, and the product code. Now it says if you're using Excel, okay, I forgot to mention. Now, if you're using Excel or Google Sheets, now assume the full value is in A2, then it says extract product number using mid. Okay, so you've got product number using mid. So mid has 3 parameters there. Okay, and says extract the product code using right. Okay, so remember we had the left, the right, and then the prefix using left. All right, so we've got mid, we've got right, and we've got left. Okay, so this is another method here. This one is text before and text after. So this is a text before function, okay, used for the product number and also text after for the product code. All right, so there you go. Now let's work with the mid, the left, the right, and see how that works. Okay, so I'm going to come over here. First of all, we're using mid to extract the product number. So I'm going to type equal to, and then I type mid, okay, MID. Now, mid function returns the characters from the middle of a text string, giving a starting position and length. It returns the characters from the middle of a text string, giving a starting position and length. So we need to know where to start from, and we need to know the length of what we're extracting. Okay, so just click on mid, and it gives you the format. So it says you need to supply the text first. Okay, so you supply the text, which is here, and then you need to supply the start number and then the number of characters. So where's the start number? We're going to have 1, 2, 3, that's PRD, and then 4, that's the dash. So let me say we're starting at 5, and then 1, 2, 3. It's 3 characters for the number. So I put 3 there, and then there you go. Can you see? So, and this works because the product number is in the middle of the product code. There you go. And then to extract um, the product code, is it now? The last two digits, we're going to use right. Okay, so mid was in the middle, and then right returns a specified number of characters from the end. Okay, so when you click on the function, it's going to give you the description, and when you click on it, it's going to tell you text. Okay, so the text is still this one, and then we want the last two. So I'm going to have comma, and I'm just going to put two because we need two characters. And there you go. So this is how we use the mid right functions. And then for practice, you can try using the um, left, okay, to extract the first three digits there. Remember, as you type the function, you can click on it and then get the format or the rule or how to go about it. All right, let's see how we can recombine into a readable product description. Okay, so we're going to use text. We're going to use text. All right, so I'm going to type equal to and then text. Okay, so it converts a value to text in a specific number format. All right, and so we've got value and then format underscore text. Okay, so to combine them, we can use text, we can use other functions. I know we can use concat as well. Okay, so let me go over to Excel and get some tips on that. All right, just a bit of the prompt engineering again. All right, so first of all, I'm going to clarify so going over to ChatGPT. All right, so I'm going to clarify first to ChatGPT that I'm working in Excel. Okay, so because you see, I didn't clarify, my prompt wasn't complete. It assumed answers for me in Excel, SQL, and even Power Query. So here I'm going to come over and just check the stream to be sure that everything is fine. Okay, all right, so I'm going to come over and say, just to clarify, I am working in Excel. I have used mid and right to extract the products, numbers, and code. Now, guide me on how to, let me see the task again. So I can say recombine into a readable product description, okay? On how to recombine into a readable product description. All right, so I hope that's enough. Yeah, so perfect. You're already 90% there. Now we just turn into something human readable. Okay, so now read. Okay, so it's giving us something just a little bit. Okay, so we've got LT for laptop, MS for mouse, KB for keyboard. All right, so build a readable product description. Okay, so there you go. Now it's using this. Okay, slightly more. So it's using the and. Okay, so we can use the and operator. We can use the and operator to add or merge two texts. Okay, so now I'm just going to tell it, please use the mapping so it isn't too complex. Okay, I just want to have standard texts added to the codes extracted. Okay, so you're going to see what I mean by this. Okay, so just keep it simple, no lookup. So we don't want complex stuff here. All right, so we've got this. You know, remember we had this code and we broke it down, took out the product number, took out the product code, and there you go. So it's saying that we can just use this and operator. Okay, and then we have this. Okay, and then we have, okay, these are just the options as well. All right, so now let's just go with this one, and this is how the result will be. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this, and then when you copy this and you bring it over here, so you could click on where you want to paste it and then just come over here and paste in the formula bar. All right, so now the product number, now let's watch this. We've got product number as a string. How do we know it's a string? We have the double quotes. And then we have and, the and operator is there. It's going to help us add the contents of a cell. In this case, it's on B2, but we don't need B2. So I'm just going to cancel it from B2, and I'm going to put M3, okay, because that's where the product number is. And then we've got another and, that's to tell us something else is coming after M3. And then we've got string again, which is space dash code, and then close the string. Now this will appear just as it is. This will appear just as it is. And then we have an and operator to tell us we're going to join the contents of the next cell reference there, which is going to be not C2 now, but N3. So you can see that. And then I click on enter, and can you see that? So now this is readable. So it's telling us this is what we had, PRD 001 LT. Now it's saying product number 001 dash code LT. All right. And so I'm just going to drag this down. Okay, so this is recombining into a readable product description. The last thing we haven't really used is text. So I'm just going to go quickly to ChatGPT, and I'm going to ask ChatGPT to tell me how to use the text function. Okay, how to use the text function in Excel working with dates. Okay, so how to use the text function. Okay, next question. Text is super useful once it clicks. Okay, let's walk through it cleanly with dates only. All right, so the text formats a value like a date or number as text using a format you choose. Very interesting. So now what happens is that you can have a number that you can format as a value, as a text. Okay, so it's a number, but you can convert it to a text to use that format. You can also have a date, which is a number, and then you can format it as a text using the text function. And this is the formula here. Okay, so we've got value and then format text. So this is an example. So we've got this date, and then we use the text function this way. Okay, so just to check the stream. What's the issue? Hello? My sound. Okay, so just to be sure that it is still sharing. Okay. Okay. I think it's fine. Okay, so I think it's fine. All right, so let's see how to use the text. We are rounding up. Okay, so here we have these dates. Okay, so we enter the date in this format. This got the day, the month, and the year. All right, so we put this date over. Okay, so let's put the date here. And then we're going to take this text function. All right, so just going to come over to the formula bar and type it, and then I'm going to be referencing not A2 now. Okay, so I think I have an issue with my. Okay, so let me just. It looks okay. Okay, so I think the sharing is fine. So I'm not too sure where it stopped sharing from. Oh, okay, but then I was using ChatGPT. Okay, so this is with ChatGPT right up from when I put the data set there to be able to extract the product number and the product code using the mid, the right, the left, and all of that. And then this is where I got some tips or some help on how to write the product code in a readable format. And first, it advised me to do some mapping, using the codes, and that was a bit complex. I said, no, I don't want mapping. I just want something straightforward. And then it allowed me to do this type of concatenation or merging, and I was able to do that in Excel, and I have my results. And now I'm asking it how to use the text function to work on dates, and it has given me, this example here. And yes, so I'm here now. I've got these dates, and I want to use the text function to dates into the text format. Okay, so there you go. I've got that here. And then, okay, so this is what it gave me in the readable format, product description format. And now for the text, I'm going to move it from A2, and I'm going to select This is L12. And there you go. Okay, so this is it as a text. This is the date. And then this is it after applying the text function. All right, so common date. So you can use the format. So you see the month, year. Okay, so we can do it date, month, year. So we've got different formats. We can use the slash, we can use the dash. Okay, so this is how we can format dates using the text. So now here we see it's mm, and let's see. There you go. So you see, Control Z, this was MMM, and then MM, you can see. So this is how we can, now let me do it YY, and there you go. So that's how I use the text function to format the dates in different ways. So just to round up, yeah, so common errors, date stored as text. We saw that you must get your formatting very well. If your date is stored as a text, it's not going to give you what you want to do, because when you want to do calculations, you to check your date format and ensure that your data set has it right without checking length. Okay, so you need to check the length first to see how many characters, and then you can use length right. Concatenating dates without text function. Yes, when you're concatenating, you're adding different dates. There has to be text because the concatenation or the addition or the combination will text data. Okay, so we've looked at Excel dates and time, date functions, calculations, text functions, combining dates and text. And in our next class, we're going to be looking at one of the features in Excel for data analysis, which is pivot tables and pivot charts. You don't want to miss that module. Okay, so that brings us to the end of today's class. I want some feedback in the comment section. So please put feedback there. Let me know what you learned. And also I want you to practice. So click on the link to get the data set and practice. And I want you to like this video. Engagement, because this is how it's going to get to more people. I want you to share the video. If there's anyone who wants to learn Excel or wants to do like a refresher, be very good and very helpful for them. And I want you to also subscribe so that you stay connected. You get to know when next we're posting a video, when next we're going live. This is Coding Keywords, and here we use the keywords approach combined with some other unique methodology to make the understanding of tech easy. Okay, so tech is something that everyone wants to go into, but it's not necessarily something that is easy that many people find. So what we do here at Coding Keywords is that we present the keywords to show you how you can learn things like programming, things like data analysis, things like Excel in a simplified way. So we've got simplified methodology, and we already have lots of resources which you can check on our channel, take advantage of. And we've got more resources coming as well. So we will soon start delving into areas like machine learning, Canva, and SQL, and all of that. Thank you once again for joining this live stream. I remain Dr. Adejo, and this is Coding Keywords. See you in our next class.